This is Andrew. Oh, I thought you were going to introduce me. Rude.
G'day guys, welcome back to another Tech Talk. My name's Andrew, this is Matt. Today's going to be a little bit different. Today we're going to show you a little bit behind the scenes of APC and what we do in regards to, well, a small portion of our R&D. Not only do we have a lot of the lab work happening up behind us, but today Matt and myself will be testing various application methods and give you an insight into the level that we go to at APC in order to, bring new innovations to market. Whether it's new trends happening in the industry or whether it's old applicators like myself bringing application methods back, they're always tried and tested. What you're seeing in front of you, we've just masked up 3 rectangles here. The reason we've got some Flakes down, we're using it as a bit of bunding because we're putting a thick film coating down, so this will be a metallic application. We're actually testing today different methods of dispersion of the metallic powders through the mix and to see what gives a best result, whether you want to minimize shooting stars, whether you want to increase more shooting stars. We're going through some different dispersion methods. They won't be filmed because it's top secret until the results are clear, but afterwards we'll be sure to share them, most likely in our Metallic Masterclass training course and in our introduction to Epoxy.
Research is a lot of in the lab and in the office and just looking through, finding formulas, additives, and ways to get products to work better or ways to make application easier. So it's a bit of both, and then the development is the actual testing and on-site or formulating of the products. And we do both here, so we have the lab, which does formulations and gets through most of the bulk work, and then once we've got a decent formula working, we then test it in situ and sometimes on site as well. And yeah, that's R&D.
Gives me confidence knowing that those systems aren't just made up or aren't just lab tested. They're tested not just by us at APC, but also by our installers that are out there installing our products. Especially if you're an installer, being able to know that I can follow these instructions, know that they've been, they've gone through the R&D process and that they work, gives me confidence to sell that to a customer and know that that's going to last.
That is one thing that differs from us to everyone else though. You'll find a lot of other companies, while they say they do R&D, only do lab R&D. It's never touched the floor other than what the installers apply.
Like the Australian made thing's important. We can get into a multitude of political reasons. We're not going to, buying local, all of that. The reasons that it's important for our installers and our customers is because not only is it Australian made, but it's tested in Australia, in Australian conditions. We have seen other products come to market and gone, oh, that could be quite a good product, and then when tested in our Australian conditions, in our Australian sun, they fail miserably. So the fact that it's made here and tested here for these conditions is a huge win. So another, added benefit of R&D doesn't just end here, we do this and then it's finished. Sometimes we won't get the desired result, or the product will act in a way that we weren't expecting, and no matter what we do on the floor, we can't change that, and that's when it goes back upstairs to the lab and might require a formulation change to get it to perform the way we were hoping to when we applied it to the floor. That's the benefit of having on-site chemists, that if I can't or Matt can't get the result we want, we can talk to them and they can say, oh, we can tweak this, we can do that, and they use their herbs and spices and bang, now we've got a perfect product for our customers. Another aspect to R&D isn't just prior to product release. Sometimes it happens after product release. We might have a customer contact us, a product's acted in a way that's abnormal to standard conditions or to what they would expect. the beauty of being ISO compliant means that we have drawdowns, we have samples of every single batch that's manufactured. Okay, so we can go straight back to that drawdown card, we can go straight back to that actual batch and test it upstairs to make sure that the manufacturing process was adhered to correctly, or two, that the product's chemically sound. Once we can rule out that there was anything with the manufacturing process or the product stability, then we can look at the customer's environmental conditions, because sometimes there's things outside of the installer's control or our control that can affect it. And we get to do some fun shit. I'm just going to blend it all together. As I said, we're doing some R&D on dispersion of the metallics, not so much the pattern on the floor. So what I'm doing now is not really relevant, but it will mean that both products get blended to each other, which will allow us to test not only the dispersion in the product mix, but also the dispersion as it comes together and blends together on the floor. R&D is important to APC because we're about making products by installers for installers. If we don't test them to these levels, then we can't be honest and transparent in saying that we know they work, we're confident, we stand behind our product, we've tested it in different conditions. That's why it's important. We do invest a significant amount in R&D. And it means that if a customer calls up and says the product doesn't do what it's supposed to do, we're very confident in being able to work with that customer to find out why they were experiencing that, because we personally hadn't experienced it. We're not here to sell product to a customer and that's the end. We're here to have a customer use our systems, love them because they're tried and tested, and keep coming back for more. And in order to be confident we can deliver that, it comes down to R&D.
We could sell a product and tell you you're wrong if it goes wrong, or we could sell a product, you tell us what's wrong, and we figure out how to fix it. All of our products are meant to be as easy as possible to install.
It's definitely dispersing different, man. The way that it's moving, see the way that it's joining and stuff, it's different. Is it? Yeah. Time will tell. Round 2. Like, as an applicator, for me, this type of R&D is extremely important. I had to do my own. When I started my business, there was no full systems out there that we knew worked together. So I was grabbing product from here, product from there, top coat from there, basically, and then, you know, trial and error. And it was costing me product, it was costing me money, I was stuffing jobs up and then redoing them for the customer till I got a system down pat. And that took some time. And then if that product's no longer available, then I have to devise a whole new system. You know, the beauty of a supplier doing this is that our installers don't have to do it. As long as they follow our systems, use our products that we know work together, that we know have been tested, then they know they can deliver a floor that's going to last.
Can I ask about this application method?
What about it?
I don't know, it just seems like work.
It's similar to doing, you know, ribbons and then pulling them together with a T-bar, but you don't get as many direct lines, but you still get the separation of the colours, not blended together as much. So the lines are more random as opposed to travelling along the floor like that. Does that make sense?
I guess.
This is usually how I put it down, yeah.
He's the metallic king. I'll learn from him.
I was doing metallics when you were still in diapers. Another aspect of having an Australian made and tested product, you know, you can be in Melbourne, Victoria, which get very cold winters. Products are going to react differently down there than winters up in Queensland. So we don't just run R&D here. Over winter, primarily, down in Vic, we have a section out the back where we run R&D in those conditions where it's, you know, 0, -1 overnight, maximum 6 degrees before lunchtime. Conditions like that to see cure rates and fight things like amine blushing. And so it means that the product that's been designed, R&D'd and put to market will work in any of the climate conditions across Australia. It's very diverse. It's not just good for Queensland or good for hot weather. When we look at the diverse industry we're in, not just climate-wise, but also from decorative coatings right through to industrial, commercial applications for mining workshops and commercial kitchens and army bases and aircraft hangars and all this stuff that we do, the R&D allows us to be extremely confident that if somebody puts a system in those locations, that it's going to stand the test of time. You know, the two samples that I'm doing down here today might look the same, but this is controlled conditions. There's only one change between the two floors, one minor change, which I can't go into. That's going to tell us between this one and this one if it has an effect on what we're on the dispersion rate.
I started as manufacturing epoxy when I was 6 years old and just kept going like that, and then my dad was like, hey, you want to help me install the triple shed? I'm like, sure. So I helped install the triple shed and then went back into manufacturing, and then I sort of liked the, you know, R&D, figuring out what products go together and just mixing shit for fun.
This was cratering, but it's glassed off now.
Yeah. I think this one looks like this because of the amount of redacted you added.
Yeah.
I reckon if you added the same amount, it would have been pretty close.
The industry is always changing. That means that application techniques that I was doing 7 years ago, there might be newer, better, easier ways. R&D allows us to test those that come to market or come up with new ones on our own. There's too much to mention in one video, like honestly.
It started off as, and still is, taught by installers rather than, you know, a retailer or a seller. So we're not trying to sell you product, we're trying to educate you and, you know, teach you the best way to do something and teach you the cheapest way to get out of it.
I mean, the benefit to doing a training course in a dedicated training facility, like a classroom we have behind us and this spaces that we have in all our locations nationally, is that you don't just get to learn how to do one application method or one particular floor. You get to learn multiples, from, you know, completing your own flake floor to completing hyperflake floors to, you know, helping with commercial matrix applications to installing metallic floors. That's the benefit. You still get to grind, you still get to patch, you get to learn commercial coving. That's not a standard install. So those kind of training courses where you're on site with a currently running business operator means that you're only going to get to learn whatever application they're doing at that time.
So to add on to that, on a customer's site, you have to follow what they want, and that's usually one system such as Ultraflake or whatever flake they're using. Whereas here, we do every system, so it allows you to be more personal with what floor you want to do.
And a lot of times during the course, students will say to me, oh Andrew, what if I did this, or what if I tried that? And my immediate response is, try it. I can tell you what's going to happen, but maybe you want to experience it for yourself. It's a safe environment. Even if I know that it's not going to turn out well for them, it gives them a chance to experiment, and the floor might fail, but the floor fails in our training facility, which means, you know, no harm, no foul. Whereas you can't do that if you're doing it on a customer's floor. Another advantage in training with us is the whole point of us training you is to help you become as successful as possible, right? We want you to become a successful installer, to get out there, to start installing great floors, because then you buy more product. But if you win, we win. We're both winning at the same time.
It is different. Each one.
Each one, I know.
Wow.
That's like silky smooth.
Yeah.
See, I don't know if you get me now. Like, see how this is more blended, malted together, whereas that stayed somewhat separate? It's got more clear defined pathways. Thanks for joining us for a little bit of behind the scenes, you know, running some minor R&D we're doing today. 100% transparency, this wasn't done for this video. This is genuine R&D that Raz our marketing team jumped in and went, hey, I want to record this, and we went no, and she went yes, and she won. We lost, but here we are. It's genuine behind the scenes. If you like it, if you've got something out of it and you want to see more of it, then you need to let us know. Just in the comment below, Andrew's awesome, do this again, would be great. Something along those lines. Matt was wrong, Andrew was right. That's another good one that I will reply to. So yeah, comment below. I don't do that like and share crap, because if you haven't, you're dumb, because this is great content. So see you in the next one.
Thanks for watching.